All right. So I hear all the stuff on Instagram. I hear all the stuff on TikTok. I hear all the stuff on Reddit, which, damn, Reddit is a wild place to be. I hear all the stuff on the Facebook groups. Let's actually talk about some of these things. Let's talk about some of these rumors that we're hearing swirling around here. So there's going to be a couple of camps in regards to this subject. There's going to be the, well, no, duh, we already knew this, which I figured everybody kind of did, but, you know, this is where we're at. I'm still getting messages daily asking about this, so it's worth talking about. Kind of a better explanation. There's going to be the camp of, well, we told you so. There's going to be the disappointment camp, because I've gotten a couple of those. And then there's going to be the camp that's kind of like me of like, why are we even talking about this? I was originally in that camp for a long time. I understand the need to talk about it now just because a lot of people, it's weird, but people do care about this subject. A little bit of an uncomfortable subject. Not going to be something that I talk about again on this channel. But I would rather you hear it from me versus, you know, the rumors that are going around, because I've heard things about myself that I'm like, damn, I wish I would have been involved in that. That sounds like that might have been a little fun. And of course, what I'm talking about at this point is talking about my relationship status. This is not like a hit piece. This is not a talking poorly about anybody. It's not that. It's really my first time to kind of just like vent about it publicly. I sat back and listened to a lot of things, and I sat back and was, you know, witness to a lot of things online from the show and just some of these comments and these messages and things like that were being said. And I took the approach of kind of wanting to ignore it. I don't know if I should have done that. I think I should have fought a little bit more. I don't think it would have changed the outcome of the relationship, but I think it would have changed the outcome of maybe how I was perceived, because I came across as very like not caring, and that was never the case. I was just so pissed off with everything that was happening, and I was also being told really by the show runners, like, hey, you know, you can't say certain things, you know, try not to talk poorly about people. And I should have just not listened to that advice, because the people around us and the people we were involved with are doing nothing but talking poorly about us. And I'm rambling right now, but again, it's going to be my first time talking kind of public about this, and not a hit piece, not talking poorly. If anything, nothing but high regard for Sarah. And, you know, it sucks. It's unfortunate. But, you know, things like this happen in any relationship. The difference is we had the world gunning for us for months, and it just got to be too much. But we're going to talk about some of the details on this, because I've never had a chance to actually put into words how I felt about a lot of this. And there's a lot of things that were shown that are just not accurate, and it made us look like just nasty individuals that we weren't. We just weren't that. And we were navigating a complicated relationship in a very weird situation. And I don't owe anybody an explanation on this, but I would rather, you know, we call balls and strikes here. We're going to talk about the facts, and I'm going to say, hey, here's what this is. Here's what actually led to that. Here's what you saw here. This is what we're talking about. Instead of, oh, here's my opinion on everything. I'm talking about the internet. Here's my opinion on everything, and this is what I feel about it, and this is exactly what happened. No, fuck that. 90% of what was said was wrong, and I'd rather you hear it from me. We're gonna exclude most of the show stuff. We'll talk about a little bit of the reunion, just because that kind of falls in line with, you know, where this is going. But Sarah and I had a pretty complicated start. I was in a previous relationship on that show. Things panned out a little weird. You know, Sarah and I left that show, and we didn't know what to do. We went to an experience with the right intentions, and we went there to potentially get married. Did I make the right decision at first? No, I didn't make the right decision. I made the best decision I could at that time based off of the information I had in front of me. And it was the wrong decision. You know, we leave that experience, and you go from constantly talking about feelings, and you go from constantly talking, you know, to other people about your feelings, and, you know, this person that you're with the whole time, and figuring out if you're going to get married or not, to what do we do? In your head, you're like, are we going to get married? Or like, what is going on? Like, you don't think at first just to jump into a normal relationship. And again, I'm not speaking for her. I'm speaking from my experience and my challenges with this. She doesn't need anybody to speak for her. She's a very strong, independent person. Again, nothing but high regard, but I need to speak my side of this from how I saw it play out, and kind of what led to things. But yeah, we didn't really know what to do. That was already a difficult start to begin with. And then with us, you have to think about this. And, you know, the other couple that did get married on the show, you have to go. We stopped filming in May, I believe it was. And the show doesn't come out until February. Yeah, it came out on Valentine's Day of this year. So you're going almost an entire year of not really being in public, showing affection with somebody. Not allowed to post anything with anybody. When the show's coming out, you have to think about like all of these things that you have to like hide from people. Friends aren't friends with certain people on social media. Make sure your Venmo is private or that you haven't sent each other things because y'all are sleuths. You'll figure the stuff out. Like we learned that like hardcore, but you're not in a normal relationship. So we already meet in a weird way. We go through a difficult time with that. Then we have to hide, our relationship for almost an entire year, kind of living our normal lives. And then in that time, you have normal just relationship back and forth issues, what ups and downs, stuff like that. Every relationship's going to have them. And then all this added pressure of, there's this, the way I kind of like explained it to my friends and family and people I worked with was like, you can see this train coming down the line. And there's this little tiny dot down at the end of the line, and it keeps getting closer, and it keeps getting closer, and it keeps getting closer, and you know what's coming, and you can't get out of the way. So it's going to hit you at some point, and you've got that pressure that's just building on you, that anxiety. And as we got a little bit closer, we're being fed like, hey, your story's going to end up good. This, the edit's going to do well for you guys, and we believed it. We had no reason not to believe it. And then the show comes out, and she's not really featured on it a whole lot up through the beginning because I'm in a different relationship at that point. And then obviously when she comes back in, none of the good interactions between her and I were ever shown. We had one interaction and we talked about like something a little bit controversial, but we were painting together. We were having a good time together. We were eating together, like through a wall, which is still weird to say that. There was a lot of really good that came out of that. There was a lot of really healthy, good things that came out of that. And none of that's shown. So when she comes back in, she's just perceived as, coming in like a wrecking ball, which isn't what happened. She didn't do that. And she took a lot of heat because of that. I believe that affected her. I believe that probably created some animosity towards me, which I understand that. Ultimately, that was my decision to break off a relationship and go into a different relationship. All she did was just voice her opinion, and she didn't want to leave any stone unturned. So she sent me that message, whatever else. And I don't hold her at fault for that. She took a lot more heat on that than I think she should have. And I don't think I took as much of the heat as maybe I should have. So we go through all the normal, relationship stuff after filming, and then the show comes out. She is getting obliterated. I'm getting obliterated online, and you're told not to look at it, but I got to tell you, at a point, we were probably getting 1,000+ messages a week with, good stuff, but then some of the stuff was just nasty, like vile things. We're getting in our own heads about this, and it's causing some kind of rifts between us. And we don't want it to be that way, but it's just kind of the nature of what's happening. You have a ton of stress being thrown at you. We're isolated to each other, not really knowing what to do and trying to handle it the best we can. And it was just a lot. So then we lead into the reunion. And I was like, yeah, I'm not going, not doing it. She wanted to go. She was a lot more optimistic about it than I was. Based off of what I had seen, I was like, yeah, there's no reason for us to go to this. Nothing good is going to come out of this. I kept that mindset. She was much more of the positive, open-minded, things will be okay. And I'm like, okay, we'll go ahead and do it. We're even told like, hey, this is going to be a chance for you guys to clear your name a little bit and add some more context to things, which I didn't really believe that. She believed it, and I give her credit for that. She was able to keep a very positive outlook on things throughout that whole process when I was like off the deep end, not doing well. Social media has never really been my thing, which is weird because I'm sitting here talking about it now. But we fly out to LA, and LA was the turning point. Again, this is my point of view. LA was the turning point. We get to the reunion, and I am just not in a great mood about it. I don't feel like it's going to go well. I'm a little uncomfortable with some things. And we go back into being sequestered. So as soon as you get to LA, phone's taken away, all that, we're cut off from the outside world. It's only for like 24 hours this time instead of 3 weeks. So it's a little different. But, we've got the makeup people coming up to the room. We've got our, getting ready with our outfits, all that stuff. And she's happy, bubbly, stuff like that. And I'm just kind of sitting over in the corner, just not really talking much. I'm just laser focused on getting in, getting out, and being done with it and moving on, because I didn't think anything good was going to come of this. And sure enough, we go to the reunion, and she's like, still feeling it. We're in the pods waiting to go out on stage. And I don't remember exactly how long that reunion was, but I think it was somewhere around like 2 hours. And, we come out there, and right off the bat, Sarah's not on stage with me yet, but right off the bat, I am just getting ripped into. I don't know exactly how long it is. I don't want to exaggerate on this number, but this was a 2-hour reunion, and I think we had like a lunch/dinner break somewhere worked into that number. That went on for like 40 minutes where I'm just getting ripped into, annihilated on stage. And they're feeding into the crowd. They're talking all this, I'm talking about the hosts, the cast, the people in the crowd, which were, Netflix employees and Kinetic employees, just ripping into us. And Sarah comes out on stage. She's getting booed. It turns into like Maury at that point, or like Jerry Springer. And I took a lot of heat, and Sarah took a lot of heat for this reunion. And I'm just sitting there like just glazed over, because I'm like, there is nothing that I can say right now. There is nothing that we can talk about right now that's going to go well. And, Sarah being Sarah, she is coming out fighting. She has got a fighting spirit. She is very strong-willed, and she's like, no, I'm going to get my point across. I'm going to fight this out. We're going to make this happen. And that's just not what happened. Again, she is extremely strong. She can handle herself. So I don't need to speak for her. She can speak for herself. But after the reunion wraps up, there was even some things that were said during that reunion that were just bullshit. People were just taking shots just to take shots. I'm still going to bite my tongue and not call some people out who should be called out for some of the things that were said at that reunion that were just bullshit. That person and I have already had a sidebar conversation and have talked about that, so I'm just going to let that go. As soon as that reunion wrapped up, we didn't hang back with anybody. We just left. I was done, wanted to wash my hands of it. After all of that happened, that was a lot. And we decided to stay out in LA for a few days, went to Santa Monica, hanging out, doing whatever. And all while still having to hide our relationship. And people are taking pictures of us, and it's getting uploaded on Reddit. It's going around Facebook. Like, you can't even go out to dinner. We can't go to the pier. Can't do anything like that because the full show hasn't released in the time that we're filming the reunion at this point. And the turning point was out there because the stress really kicked in. It started to get to be too much. That was just that was an unnecessarily kind of cruel beatdown when it really could have been a conversation. We could have come to better resolutions than what we did. But that's TV. That's reality TV. They want the drama. They got the drama out of that. It was just too much for both of us. And, we get back to Charlotte, and, now the full show is starting to release. People know that we're together finally. You were under the impression that people would be happy that there was not only just one couple that got married, there's another couple that made it through and actually were together still. And it just was off the rails the whole time, where people were just jawing about it. And we never had a chance to like have a normal relationship. Maybe it's meant to be that way. Maybe things were never meant to work out. But with all of that said, I have nothing but high regard for Sarah. She is a very strong person. She's a very intelligent person. She is not who she was portrayed as. What I didn't do is I didn't do a better job of verbalizing, who she is as a person. I didn't do a good job of defending her at times when I should have, because at the time, I know that talking, like we'll use the reunion, for example, I knew that talking wasn't going to be nothing good was going to come of it. But because that's the only thing that the world is seeing, it makes it look like I just didn't care, which was never the case. Cared a lot. Wanted the best for her. Wanted to make sure she was taken care of. I just didn't want her and I to talk and continue to like make things worse. But nobody gets to see that. That's the interesting thing behind all of this is nobody really knows who we are. And you get to see these little small bits and pieces and things like that. And in my normal life, as things kind of flare up and people get frustrated or an argument breaks out, my natural tendency is to kind of take a step back, let it vent, and then come back to the conversation like when everybody's cooled down. If the conversation is still heated after 30 minutes and everybody's had their cool down time, okay, it's worth having a conversation about. Most of the time it'll dissipate and things are fine. But if it's still something that needs to be talked about after 30 minutes, we come back and talk about it. But anyways, We've been apart now for a few months. She did move out. This is where I want to be very like clear on certain things. Yeah, we're not together anymore. We have been apart for a few months. We had tried a few times in between there to see if we can recover something just after having a little bit of time apart, and it just wasn't meant to be. It's insane the amount of people that are still asking about this, still talking about it, and I get that there's curiosity around it and stuff like that. It's a part of being on a reality TV show that is about finding love and things like that. But again, I've seen Reddit. That's a feral place to be. I've seen the TikToks, there's even people in my neighborhood that are like leaking information about like what I'm doing and who, when she left and when she moved out, which I know who that person is. I'm probably going to watch this video. I just wanted to come out and be very clear that, yeah, we're not together. I've got no ill will towards her. We were put in an extremely challenging situation that I would say good luck to anybody trying to make it through something like that. And just be careful what you hear and see online. Like people are real quick to just believe everything, and you're getting like a tenth of like a truth behind something anytime you read something there. Whether it's the Facebook forums, the Reddit forums, the TikToks, things you see on Instagram, shit, anywhere else this stuff is posted. It's not as fun to maybe hear the truth behind things, but this is my perspective on things and where we're leaving it off. None of this is meant to come across as me speaking for Sarah. She is plenty strong-willed to speak for herself. She's a great person. I wish she wouldn't have been portrayed the way she was. And yeah, we could have maybe done things a little bit different. And I'd rather we talked about like the camps of like who's going to care about this, or, obviously this is what's been going on. But a lot of people are still asking about it. I wanted to come out and talk directly about it just to like clear the air and be like, hey, here's where it's at. I want to move forward. She deserves to move forward. Like, stop harassing the girl with anything that I'm doing, or I don't need to know what she's doing. Like, it's weird. We're grown ass adults. We don't need to know this stuff. So I hope this provided a little bit more context. This is a long video, and if you stuck through it and actually listened to everything that really did happen, I appreciate that. We've got some other fun stuff that's going to come up on the channel here coming soon. I've got some conversations with some people from some different shows that are going to happen. We've got some camping stuff coming up. If I could ever figure out how to use this video capture card, we'll do some gaming. I've been trying to figure it out. I'm computer illiterate right now. I just got back from surfing after an entire week, so I'm a little brain dead. I appreciate y'all who did support us. And, if you didn't support us, to each their own. You got a little bit of, some information, but I can tell you that anybody who's met us in person hasn't not liked us. And even if you don't, it's cool. It's fine. Everybody's entitled to their own opinions. But other than that, these are the facts. Hope you get some clarity out of this. And I'd like nothing more than for myself to be able to move forward and her to be able to move forward, and just leave her alone. Like she didn't deserve and still doesn't deserve to be talked to or treated the way she is. So